What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox presented by LOCKCITY. It's Whitey here today. Happy Thursday. Hopefully everyone's having a good week or a good last couple of weeks, I suppose. And Happy New Year, especially to everyone here on the CS side of things. Happy holidays if any of y'all were celebrating around the Christmas season or holiday season there. We're going to be talking about some CS roster moves here today. And apologize if I sound a little bit sick. I am a little bit under the weather. But we're going to be talking about some CS2 roster moves here today. Over the course of the last couple of weeks in the Tier 1 scene, of course, some changes. And then we have some big upcoming tournaments here. We have a Blast Bounty that's going to be starting on the 13th. We have the draft coming up for it tomorrow. And then right after that, we have IEM Kraków. I think it's like 2 days after or something like that it starts up. So we have a good amount of moves here on some Tier 1 rosters that we're going to need to discuss to prepare us for watching or betting on a lot of this Tier 1 action here. So without further ado, first tournament that's going to be coming up here is going to be Blast Bounty. The closed qualifier is up first, or stage 1, as you may want to refer to it as. We have here, I don't know if this has it divided up by stage 1 and stage 2 teams. Oh, never mind. This is just round of 32. I'm tripping. I was thinking about Kraków. So it looks like everyone's going to play immediately in this one. In terms of a draft order, I know they tweeted that out the other day here. So it looks like, obviously, for those of you that aren't familiar with Blast Bounty, all of the favorites are going to have varying bounty sizes on their heads. And then the underdogs here end up getting a draft order where they have to pick a favorite that they want to play to try and steal their bounties. So this is the draft order. We're going to have Bet Boom, Fnatic, M80, Passion UA, Hatu, Ninjas in Pajamas, Energy, Eyeballers, Inner Circle, OG, Nine, Ents, Virtus Pro, Monte, Sinners, and Ecstatic. And then overall, in terms of teams that are invited, so those would be the bottom ones here that we just ran through. The top ones, or the favorites, are going to be Furia, Falcons, Vitality, Aurora, Spirit, Liquid, Navi, Astralis, Heroic, 3D Max, Pain Gaming, FaZe Clan, Paravision, Gentlemates, Gamer Legion, and FUT. So a pretty stacked tournament coming in here. And then directly after that, we're going to be hopping into IEM Kraków. And they released the invited teams here on Twitter as well, or on X. On the ESL Counter-Strike account. And the stage 2 teams are going to be Furia, Vitality, Falcons, Spirit, Navi, Maus, FaZe Clan, and MongolZ. And then the stage 1 invites are going to include Aurora, Bait, Legacy, G2, Liquid, 3D Max, Astralis, Paravision, Heroic, Pain Gaming, FUT, Ninjas in Pajamas, Passion UA, BC.Game, Energy, and Gamer Legion. So a number of teams here that obviously had a good amount of roster changes. Team Spirit, BC.Game, the MongolZ, so on and so forth, Paravision, Heroic, a good amount on this side. Energy's in really good form right now. And then on this side of things, well, really just a mess, but we're probably not going to cover a lot of the underdogs here because I don't expect them to last very long in the qualifier. But either way, on this side of things, so Spirit, I guess, can be the first one that we're going to talk about here. Spirit had a number of changes, two, obviously. So Magic's got moved back into the active roster, Zontic's got moved back into the active roster, and then Chopper, their IGL, got benched, and Zwe ended up getting transferred. He was benched, and then a couple hours later, ended up joining Paravision, or a couple days later, I suppose, 12 days later, according to this, but got moved to the bench here on the 17th. So he ended up on the Paravision roster. We'll talk about that in a second. What this means for Spirit, Magix is moving to IGL. I think this is going to free them up a lot more. I think this is going to, in the grand scheme of things, end up being a really good move for Spirit. Whether that ends up happening in the first couple of tournaments, I think obviously remains to be seen. I'm going to be optimistic and say potentially, but overall it's going to be a definite adjustment, especially among the top 10, top 5 sort of teams here. But Spirit, again, they're going to be running with Magix, Donk, Zontix, Shiro, and Tanir, a nice 5, and then Holly obviously as their coach. The MongolZ ended up not bringing Senzu back. Senzu is still on their bench here. They ended up adding CobraZera from the Huns. They had Controles stepping in previously, but Controles ended up going back, and CobraZera is coming over here from the Huns. I don't mind CobraZera. I don't know that this is going to be more efficient for them than Senzu was. I think the chemistry that they had there was kind of unmatched, but we'll see. Willing to be proven wrong on this one. Cobra Zera is going to be in for the Mongols. On the PARIVISION side of things, we're going to have Zwei in the lineup here, Zwei, whatever you want to call him. And then AW ended up moving on from PARIVISION. They do have a major winner here on their bench, former Rio 2022 major winner. But we'll see what ends up happening with this one if they end up making any sort of substitutions as the season goes on or any roster changes. But for the time being, Zwei is going to be in the PARIVISION roster. So we will see what happens there. And then BC.Game ended up picking up the core from Saw. So we'll go over to the BC.Game roster changes here. All right, so they got Simple, Electronic, Aragorn, Crazy, and Muterus. I don't know about this. I would like to say that I'm optimistic, but I'm really not. Definitely willing to be proven wrong on the BC.Game side of things, but I don't know, something about this roster. I just don't think it's going to end up meshing well. I think personalities might clash. I really hope that I'm wrong on that. I hope they end up having a good start to the season, because I think if not, this is probably one of Simple's last go-rounds. Maybe he'll play out the 2 seasons of 2026, but I would really like to see them do something impressive here. I just don't know how optimistic I am about this lineup. And then same thing could be said about 100 Thieves. I guess I realized I didn't have that one pulled up either. But on the 100 Thieves side of things, same sort of thing. I would like to see Device and Rain do well, especially at these stages in their careers, but they're going to be playing. They're not invited to either of these first 2 tournaments. They're not at Blast Bounty. They're not at IEM Kraków. So they're going to be playing, I don't even know, maybe some CCTs, maybe some Fragadelphias to try and get some VRS points here. And then obviously they have Glaive as their coach, but we'll see what ends up happening with 100 Thieves. Overall, I think we're in for some banger tournaments here. This one, we're obviously going to have the draft tomorrow. So the draft ends up happening, I think it's at 2 p.m. Central Time. Let me see what time it's at for tomorrow. Oh, 2 p.m. my time. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So the draft show, it'll probably be like half an hour long. Then we'll hop on here. We'll make a video. But other than that, looking forward to the new season of CS. Thank y'all for watching. If you like the content, feel free to like, subscribe, so on and so forth. We'll see y'all back here tomorrow with some picks. Take care.